We have a very serious problem on our hands.
I know. It's ridiculous that Tennessee is now requiring the 10 Commandments to be put up in every public classroom. I have nothing against religion, but that stuff doesn't belong in public schools. It belongs in the privacy of your own home or own church. It spits in the face of the very Constitution these people claim to love.
Okay, fine. But that's not what I was talking about.
Then you must be talking about Mexico running out of water, Vladimir Putin, and North Korea getting all chummy. Or how about what's going on over in Israel and Gaza? Or how in a few months millions of Americans will have to decide between an old idiot or a chaotic idiot to lead the United States.
Oh, it's much, much worse. I'm speaking, of course, about sharks, the most dangerous creatures in the ocean.
What?
Last week, professional surfer Tamayo Perry was attacked and killed by a shark off the coast of Oahu. This marks a disturbing trend of fatal shark attacks, 9 of which have occurred in Hawaii over the past 2 years. However, what makes it scarier is that this phenomenon appears to also be affecting real states, like Florida and North Carolina, not just fake states like Hawaii, where shark bites have become increasingly common.
Wait, is this seriously this week's topic? Bit of a departure from the usual politics and culture wars.
Well, this is a very serious issue. In fact, a few weeks ago during a rally, President Donald Trump even raised an interesting question regarding whether it would be better to be electrocuted by a boat's battery or be eaten by a shark.
Oh, there it is.
Between 1958 and 2023, there were a total of 633 fatal shark attacks recorded around the globe, and that doesn't even count unreported deaths that occur in underdeveloped nations.
I mean, that doesn't really seem that much considering that there's over 8 billion people currently on the planet. In fact, I'm pretty sure there were almost 50,000 gun-related deaths in the United States last year alone.
Well, yes, but guns make you look really cool, so it's okay.
Okay, fair enough. But have you also considered that deer kill almost 500 people per year in vehicle collisions?
That is why deer hunting is one of the great American pastimes. Action must be taken, even violent action, to protect our citizens.
Pet dogs kill almost 40 people per year.
Anyway, I believe that it is time to finally end the scourge of sharks infesting our waters before it's too late. Luckily, the Japanese, having decades of experience with handling sea monsters, have taken the lead on this issue. The delicacy of shark fin soup has led to the creation of the largest shark fishing industry in the world, with very few enforced regulations as to how many of the beasts they can slaughter per year.
Yeah, but they're not killing them out of fear that their electric boat may sink in the vicinity of a shark one day. They're slaughtering them en masse for food. It's essentially just wide-scale fishing that's having devastating impacts on the shark population.
Actually, they mostly just cut off the fins and then throw them back to die.
Well, that sounds dark.
Indeed, as it is what those creatures deserve. Besides, many villages are completely dependent on shark fishing for their economies. So by putting limits on how many can be killed, you're also putting limits on the financial health of those who rely on the industry.
Yeah, but the point is that unless some restrictions get put in place, and actually enforced, there won't be an industry to rely on. It's basic math. If you kill a bunch of animals before they have a chance to breed, then eventually you're going to run out of animals. In fact, recently the Alaskan snow crab season had to be cancelled entirely because their population has dropped so dramatically over the past few years due to overfishing.
The 3 types of sharks responsible for the most fatal attacks on humans include the famous great white shark, whose name I consider slightly racist considering that it is mostly black, the tiger shark, which looks like a kitty, and the bull shark, whose extra testosterone makes them particularly aggressive. And that does not even include the oceanic white tip shark, which was responsible for killing dozens of sailors who were stranded in the water after the sinking of the USS Indianapolis in 1945.
Alright, so let me ask you a question.
I would take my chances with the battery if my electric boat sank rather than risk swimming near a shark.
Jesus Christ, that's not my question. That's literally no one in their right mind's question. My question is, where did 100% of these fatal attacks take place?
Well, in the water, obviously.
Exactly. Sharks aren't breaking into our homes or killing us on the streets. They're just trying to survive in their own home. The reason you see more shark attacks than in the past is because we have a lot more people than we used to. I mean, just Google any beach and look at all the crowds these days, not to mention that we've spent decades literally taking away all their food. So it's really not a mystery as to why you're seeing an uptick in shark encounters. We've gone into their house, taken their food supply away and backed them into a corner. How would you expect any animal to react?
Actually, that is not true. Some sharks are indeed now invading our homes. In the 1990s, a period of heavy rain caused flooding that was able to carry several highly aggressive bull sharks into a lake on a golf course in Australia. The sharks then proceeded to live there like lazy freeloaders for over 20 years.
Well, let's ignore for a second just how hilarious that sounds. But more importantly, did these sharks ever actually hurt anyone?
Well, no. In fact, they were actually welcomed by the owners of the golf course and served as a tourist attraction.
Alright, so it sounds like your characterization of it being an invasion might be a little bit of an over-exaggeration.
In addition to sharks, killer whales, which are actually just fat dolphins who hide behind a cool name, have also been rebelling against humanity. Recent headlines have been highlighting the upswing of orca attacks on boats over the past few years, indicating that our only option may be to quash this oceanic uprising before it's too late. Luckily, like with sharks, the Japanese have also taken the lead on fighting the good fight.
Okay, look, I really don't have the energy to discuss the cultural nuances of Japan's whaling history. But have these orcas actually hurt anyone in these attacks, let alone killed anyone? No, they haven't. In fact, there's never been a documented case of an orca even coming close to hurting anyone in the wild.
Well, not yet, but why wait and give them the chance? This is why they must be stopped.
Jesus, have you by chance ever read Moby Dick?
Of course not. I do not read smutty erotica.
It's the most famous book on whaling ever written, and the whole point is that you can't apply malicious intent to an animal, let alone obsess over it, or else it'll destroy you. It's true that killer whales have killed people, but they've all been in captivity, which is absolutely not the place for a giant animal. If someone stuffed you in a tiny cage for the rest of your life and made you do tricks, literally jumping through hoops for food, you'd be pretty pissed off, and probably lash out once in a while too.
I think it is insane that anyone would want to keep those monsters in captivity.
It's a delicate balance. Luckily, some of the biggest parks and aquariums have ended their captive whale programs. But on the other side of the coin is the fact that many reputable aquariums use the money from ticket sales for conservation research and various cleanup projects. The National Aquarium in Baltimore, for example, spends millions of dollars per year on efforts to help clean up the Chesapeake Bay and preserve its wildlife, and that's pretty much standard for any highly regarded zoological park. Without the allure of captive animals, they would never be able to raise enough money to help save the ones in the wild. Which is why it's important that we support zoos and aquariums, despite what we may think of the ethics of keeping creatures captive, as long as we ensure that we as society hold them to high standards.
So it sounds like what you are saying is that we need to destroy aquariums. I trust nobody who aids and abets an enemy.